Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you a big book haul, as we always do around on this channel lately. I thought if I filmed these more frequently, then maybe they wouldn't get too intense, but I've got 47 books here to show you. So let's get right down to the books. First of all, I want to show you this absolute stunner of the book. I definitely treated myself to this, and that is the beautiful, gorgeous edition of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. So this slipcase is divine, and wait for it. You slip, look at that spine, and then you slip the book out. Oh, look at that book. It's absolutely stunning. And that's Hill House. But there are some gorgeous illustrations, and I decided that, you know, I'm not subscribed to a book box, I don't buy that many special editions, but I love The Haunting of Hill House. I've read it a year and a half ago now, I don't even know, and it still lives rent-free in my mind. It's following these characters who have heard that Hill House is haunted and they decide to go there. And it's what happens when they are there. Very good read, very good TV series adaptation that's completely different than the book, but still very, very good. And I love this edition, and I'm so happy that I treated myself to it. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood was on sale, and I decided to get it. I already read this in 2021, and it was my favourite romance read of 2021, so I'm basically just treating myself to a physical copy for my shelves, as you do. And this one follows this student who ends up fake dating a professor at her university, and it's really fun, it's really cute, and I just really like this romance book. I've gifted it to other people, and now I've finally gotten myself a copy. A lot of these books are secondhand. I've really been enjoying secondhand book buying lately, taking from other book content creators on hauls sometimes, but also because I've been going to my local charity shop so much to donate books, I've also been very impressed by what they have in stock. So this is from Booktubers on haul. I got Act Your Ave, Each Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the third book in the Brown Sisters series, and I haven't taken a peek at the back because I still need to read the second one, but I really enjoyed Get a Life Chloe Brown, and I'm looking forward to reading my way through the rest of the trilogy. I then won a giveaway, which I was absolutely thrilled by. I don't usually win giveaways, but I won a copy of You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. Akwaeke Emezi is the author of Pet, which was one of my favourite reads of 2021, so I'm very excited to see how they handle writing a romance book. The title is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love the title, which is taken from a Florence and the Machine song. I don't particularly like the UK cover. This is the US cover, and I think it does it so much better, but this book was free, so I am not complaining, and I'm very much excited and thankful that I get a chance to read this book. Thank you so much to the publishers for that amazing giveaway. In terms of my charity shop, I want to start by showing you the most fantastic find that I found there, and that is this secondhand copy of Becoming by Michelle Obama. It's a hardback. It is impeccable. There are no wear downs. It's just like as if this book was brand new, and I am absolutely amazed. I read Becoming by Michelle Obama on audiobook, and I loved it. It's a fantastic memoir. The audiobook is fantastic. It sounds like Michelle Obama just telling her life story to you, and it was just such an interesting look at what it's like to be part of the president's family. I didn't really know what being a president is all about really, or what it has in terms of security and safety and the way it affects your everyday life. Of course, I knew it would be different than living an everyday life, but I didn't know too much about it because I'm not American, I'm British. I don't keep up with the ins and outs of what it's like to be a president's wife too much. But as well as that, Michelle Obama is just a magnificent woman, and just hearing her talk about the discrimination she's faced, some of the comments that she's faced because she's female and the wife of a president, but also the ways in which her husband running for the presidency really altered what she wanted for her life, and how it impacted her being a mother as well, and just seeing her juggle all of that and talk about that in depth was absolutely fascinating. Really recommend this book. Gave it 5 stars, absolutely love it, but I didn't buy myself a hardcover copy because it was so expensive, and at the time of its release I was a student, I didn't have money to willy-nilly spend on expensive hardback, and then I found this impeccable hardcover in charity shop for £3, which is just astonishing to me. Snapped it up. So happy. I was sent for review Bless the Daughter Raised by a Voice in Her Head by Warsan, Shire, and I'm actually going to be starting this one today. It's a poetry collection, and Warsan, Shire is the person who wrote the poetry that you hear in Beyonce's Lemonade album and also in Black is King. If you don't know, I love Beyonce. I've been listening to her since I can remember, basically, because my sisters introduced me to her music when I was very young, and you know, that was when it was Destiny Child, and I've just been listening and following Beyonce basically for the entirety of my life. So of course I was very excited to read this poetry collection, and I cannot wait to get started today. For my birthday, which was back in January, I got given a gift card from work, a book token to buy some books, which was really nice of them. And I didn't spend it in January. I waited a bit because I got a lot of books in January, and I've now spent it. So I've got some of the books that I bought with that gift card here. One of them is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I've had this book on my wish list for absolutely ages. I've always been meaning to read it since I ever first heard about it when it came out, and now with the TV series it just got jumped right back onto my radar again. So when I saw it in the bookshop, I decided to snag a copy. I know that this is a saga and you're following a lot of characters, and it's supposed to be emotional and beautifully written, and that's pretty much all I need to know. So I just know it's going to be good, and I'm really looking forward to when I get around to reading this one. I also never ever go to the book section of Tesco's. Such a trap for me. They always have such great steals for books, so if that's what you're looking for, you should definitely be checking out the books aisle in Tesco's. But I had to go to the books aisle because I needed to buy some stuff with my mum for my sister's birthday gathering. So we were right next to the book section, and two books, they caught my eye. So I got a copy of Still Life by Sarah Winman and also The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I now own 3 Beth O'Leary books I have not read, but I have complete faith that I'm going to love her books, and so I got this one even though I don't know anything about it whatsoever other than it's The Road Trip. So now I've got this one, and I also got Still Life, which I've just been seeing such beautiful reviews for and loads and loads of positive thoughts. Sarah Winman is an author who's been on my radar ever since I heard about Tin Man, actually, so I've been meaning to try something by her, and just seeing the love that Still Life is getting from prizes and literary critics has put it onto something that I really wanted to try. So when I saw a copy, I had to get them. I was sent for review Vladimir by Julia May Jones, and this is actually one of the books that I was really anticipating this year, so I'm very excited to read it. I absolutely love what they've done with the cover. I think in the final copy it's red, but still just such a really nice design to me. And this one follows this university where there's a couple, and the professor is under fire for some sexual, not very responsible relationships with some of his students, and it's put a bit of a wedge in between the relationship with his wife and him, even though they do have an open relationship. And then we enter onto the scene our main character, who starts to have an obsession with this professor. And so that's how this book sounds. It sounds interesting, it sounds a bit scandalous and dramatic, and I'm ready for it. Back to an unhaul book, I got Toffee by Sarah Crossan. This was actually a book on my wish list, so once I saw it in the unhaul, I just had to snap it up. I know it's another Sarah Crossan novel in verse. I've read 2 in the past, really enjoyed them, so I thought I would get this one as well. We've got 2 big fantasy proofs that somebody was unhauling on Instagram, and the first one is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron, and I'm actually very glad to get this from an unhaul because it's one of those fantasy books that I really wanted to try, but also I'm not entirely sure I'm gonna like, so I wouldn't have wanted to pay full price for it. So I'm really glad that I get a chance to try out this fantasy and see what I think. And actually the same thing goes for Son of the Storm. Another one where I've seen really positive reviews, but reading the synopsis, it did not quite sound like the kind of fantasy that I would pick up naturally, but I still wanted to give it a shot, so really glad that I could just get these proofs for free, and I'm really looking forward to giving them a go and seeing what I think of them. Secondhand bookshop purchase, we've got On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and this is another one that I saw making its rounds on booktube and also prize lists and everything, but nothing about it really intrigued me. until lately. I don't know why, I've been really looking for those like literary, poetic writing style, literary fiction books and really liking them. So I thought I would just give it a shot. And even the title, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, is in itself gorgeous. So I'm hoping that's an indicator for what the rest of the book will be like. Also got The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. This is one that has been on my wish list for a very long time as well. Got it in the secondhand shop. It is a book which has to do with zombies, I believe, and it's a bit thriller-esque, a bit horror-esque, and I need to get back into reading some of my dark fiction books. I'm a bit more horror up my street, and I do want to see the film for this one as well. So it's one that I've just been keeping an eye out, and I'm just very glad that I saw it secondhand because I snatched it up. I've had so many anticipated releases this year come my way from publishers, so thank you very much. And this is another one, and it's called Woman Eating by Claire Kohda, and I have been interested in this one because it sounds a bit like vampirism is put into the story, and that is always intriguing to me as a vampire lover myself, ever since my Edward Cullen days. So in this one, we follow a woman who is torn between her two desires. She's really interested in trying all of those very delicious sounding Japanese foods from her heritage that sound really delicious, but she also craves blood. And it's about her warring between these two desires and some experience that she has with a man, and it sounds fascinating. I really like the title, Woman Eating. There's just something about woman X titles that really get me. So very curious to see what this one is going to be like. And then at secondhand, I also got Forever Ends on Friday by Justin A. Reynolds. Last year I read Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds, and I had a blast. It was a very fun book with a very fun concept, but it still managed to be heartwarming and touching and make characters that I really enjoyed reading about. And Forever Ends on Friday actually sounds even more up my street. I believe this is published in the US under a different name, which confused me for a bit as to why I couldn't get it in the UK, but that's because of the title. So I think in this one, a character goes through a car crash, like his friend dies or something, and then he has the chance to give his best friend one more week of life, but the kicker is that he can't tell his friend that he's going to die. So our main character feels like he's tasked with giving his best friend the best week of his life because he knows that his life will end on Friday. So dealing with grief and all of that turmoil of emotions, it's definitely the book for me. From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. That was an unhaul book, and I really enjoyed When Dimple Met Rishi, and so I've been meaning to read something more by this author for a very long time. When it came to picking up books and choosing what to buy, it was just never at the forefront of my list, and it's quite nice that I could get this one from an unhaul, and we'll try something by this author. I don't actually know what this particular book is about, but I just know it's another young adult contemporary, and I do really enjoy reading that genre. Thank you so much to Book Break for sending me these 5 books I have here. So these are all by Kristin Hannah, who is a historical fiction author I've been fascinated by for a very long time, and I've been meaning to try something by her, and now I've got 5 books to work my way through. So the one that I was most interested in reading, because I've seen it everywhere and it fascinates me, is The Nightingale. And even though I'm very interested in reading The Nightingale, I'm actually not going to start with this one. The first one of Kristin Hannah's that I'm going to read is her recent release called The Four Winds, which is like a historical fiction book. It's set on a farm in the Great Plains that gets shattered by the weather and the environment, and they kind of have to move somewhere else and start a whole new life, which just sounds very fascinating. I've been meaning to try and get back into historical fiction a bit more. I read it here and there, but I definitely don't read it as much as I used to when I was growing up. When I was a child, I read so much historical fiction, and I miss the genre, and I want to get back into it, and I think these books are really going to help with that. But I'll quickly run through what the other 3 titles are as well. We've got Wild, The Great Alone, and also Firefly Lane, which is a Netflix series that did very well and everybody seemed to enjoy. So I know that after I read this one, I'm definitely going to have to try and watch it as well. Next following ones are all secondhand. We have The One by John Mars, and this is a thriller dark thriller book that I've heard is very, very good from those in the horror community and the thriller community, in that John Mars is a very good author. So I thought I would try something, and the one was the one that I decided I wanted to start with and had on my wish list. So once I saw it in the shop, I decided to get it. There's something about a DNA test means that you quickly learn who your partner is supposed to be, and these 5 people meet their match, but there's secrets and it might be deadlier than expected. So that sounds interesting. We've got The Secret Barrister, anonymously written book, and it's all about a barrister's experiences with the law, and it's supposed to be brutally honest. I am someone who's absolutely fascinated with other people's professional careers and hobbies. I just find it so interesting to learn more about them, especially if it's something that's quite far from my own career choice or hobbies. So I read quite a few of these like informational books where it's unpicking what the law system is like or what it's like to work in law, and this is going to be another one, especially as the law system is something that impacts all of our lives because it's how we choose to police morals and ethics. Then we have British by Afua Hirsch, and this is a non-fiction book on race, identity and belonging, and it's one that I was a bit on the fence about reading for some reason. Every time I heard people talking about it or heard synopses of it, it just didn't actually sound like one I wanted to pick up. But when I saw it in the charity shop, I thought, why not? The money's going to charity anyway. And because I'm so on the fence about it, I don't think I'm going to get to it soon, but I will be very curious to see what my thoughts on this one will be. More Than This by Patrick Ness. If you've been here a while, you know I love every Patrick Ness I've read so far, and I've got quite a few on my TBR, but I'm just accumulating the Patrick Ness books, and I'm gonna read them all. I've read like 5 and really enjoyed them, so I don't think he can fail me. And this is an impeccable condition paperback of More Than This, so I just took it because it's perfect condition, secondhand. So cheap, we love to see it. While I was there, I also got If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. My sister has been yelling at me to read this book for a very long time, so I will definitely get to it now. I've also been meaning to read some James Baldwin fiction because I've heard it's really good. I've only read his non-fiction, so I'm really excited to get to something that's fiction. Unfortunately, If Beale Street Could Talk just has the worst covers in history, and I am shallow, so I refuse to buy any of those covers. But when I saw this film cover in the shop, I do think it's the nicest one they have, so I just picked it up from the charity shop. We finally got into the rest of the books that I got with my book token from work for my birthday. So I got When I Was the Greatest by Jason Reynolds, not to be confused with Justin A. Reynolds. He's the author of Long Way Down, and this one I just actually picked up because it was Jason Reynolds and I want to read more of his books. So that's the only reason why I picked it up, but it does sound interesting. These 3 teenagers, I should say, and 2 of them are good friends, and one of them has a brother who's a bit different from everybody else, and when he gets in trouble they kind of all end up finding themselves somewhere they never expected to be, somewhere where they shouldn't be. So that sounds interesting. I also got Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier, and I really liked Rebecca, and I've been meaning to try something more by this author. This one follows this character who gets moved to Jamaica Inn for whatever reason, and she finds out that the inn is kind of a front for a gang of lawless criminals, and she gets involved in that world and everything. So it sounds like it could be interesting. And then last but not least, for that book token, I got Near the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector, and I actually don't know anything about this book, but I really, really loved The Hour of the Star by Clarice Lispector. I would consider it one of my favourite books, and I've just been meaning for a very long time, years, ever since I read that book, to pick up more by this author. So I will be reading this one. We have How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherry Jones, which was also one of those books that was like nominated for a prize and everything, which is how it got on my radar. And then I heard the title and I wanted to read it because it's a fantastic title. So now you know why I wanted to read this book. Also got in charity shop Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. This is one of those booktubers made me do it books because I know Victoria from What Victoria Read really enjoyed this, and just several other British booktubers that I subscribe to and watch. So I want to try it for myself and see what it's like. And also got The Beekeeper of Aleppo. and this is one of those books where I was offered it for review, passed up on my opportunity for doing so, and absolutely regretted it when I saw everybody else reviewing it and really enjoying it. So I'm glad that I could get a second chance to read this book. It's a historical fiction book about Aleppo, and because they have to flee Aleppo, it's about their journey traversing through Turkey and Greece to try and get to Britain as an immigrant and find safe haven. So that's what this one is about. Oh, I was at the secondhand shop and I saw these and I just had to get them because they're gorgeous. I love books that look old and they're in very, very good condition. They're not even worn down or scratched up, and these are 3 Charles Dickens books. I do like what I have read of Dickens. I do need to read more Dickens, and I own some Dickens on my TBR now, so I should definitely get to them. I've got Bleak House that looks exactly like this, which is one that I've read and enjoyed. So it's like nice that they're all going to be matching. And these are David Copperfield, and it's David Copperfield split into 2 volumes. So volume 1 and 2, it's just 1 book, but in 2 books. And then this one is A Tale for Two Cities, which is one that I've been meaning to read because I love that first line. Asking for It by Louise O'Neill, again another booktube made me do it book, because I know that Aoife from Words of Clover really likes this book. I've got Asking for It, which I think is the place to start with her books, so that's a nice one to have. And I also got When God is a Rabbit by Sarah Winman, which is a book that when I went secondhand book shopping with my best friend in the Netherlands, I picked out for my best friend to read because she was like, choose some books for me. And even though I hadn't read this one, I looked at the synopsis and thought this is a book that Yana will enjoy. So Yana has read it and really enjoyed it, so when I saw a secondhand copy I thought I should try it for myself now that I know that like my best friend liked it. And Sarah Winman is another author I already mentioned in this haul that I wanted to read more from her by, so I got to this one. We have a proof copy of House of Fortune by Jessie Burton. Thank you so much to Book Break. This is the long-awaited sequel to The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. I've enjoyed what I've read by Jessie Burton so far, and I have not taken a look at the synopsis because I want this sequel to be just entirely a surprise and just something to dive into and see what it can give me. But I'm very, very excited for this, and if you didn't know the Miniaturist sequel is coming out, now you do, so keep an eye out for that one. Oh, this was from an unhaul as well. Complete short stories of Perrault by Agatha Christie. So all of his short stories are in this compilation. I've mentioned that I don't actually like reading compilations that much, but also my mood reading has been peak lately. I just cannot stick to a single book. So poetry collections and short stories are something that I'm reading quite a bit while taking little chapters from different books, and so I've been trying to like stock up on short story collections for whenever I'm in this kind of mood reader mood. And I love Agatha Christie mysteries, so of course I wanted to get this one when I saw it in the unhaul pile. I also saw The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett in the secondhand shop, and I got this one simply because there are some booktubers who are doing a read along at the moment. They've been enjoying reading Terry Pratchett books, and it's just made me want to try Terry Pratchett. So when I saw the first Discworld novel in the shop, I thought, why not? It's also quite good condition, so I'll be trying something Terry Pratchett at some point. I also found this play, or plays, by Arthur Miller. Plays can be a bit expensive to purchase new, so I decided to go for it. This one is A View from the Bridge and All My Souls, those 2 plays in one. I've enjoyed what I've read of Arthur Miller. The Crucible is one that I've read, and Death of the Salesman is one that I've read, so I'm looking forward to reading more from this playwright. Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides in the secondhand shop, and I have heard good reviews about this one. I think it's an interesting sounding book, and I also believe it was recommended to me by Mel from Bookfend. Mel. So people recommend me books. I do try and pick them up if I read the synopsis and also think it could be something for me. So that's why this one has been on my radar, and it's actually also been on my wish list for a very long time. So when I saw it in the shop, I got it. Then we've got some last 2 review copies. The first one is A Parcel of Patterns by Jill Patton Walsh, and this is a reprint of a classic. It's a historical fiction. It's got a gorgeous cover. I just love this cover and the colours on it. And this one focuses on a village where a plague comes to town and the village make the unanimous decision to cut themselves off from other villages around in the countryside so that they will not get infected. So essentially they're quarantining, and this historical fiction is quite timely. I think you can guess why. So very interested in reading this one. And last but not least, we have Heart and Bones by Niamh Mulvey, and this is a short story collection that is made up of love songs for the late youth. So it sounds like kind of my age category, I believe, and it's just love related short stories. I have really been enjoying short story collections lately, and I've just been looking and on the hunt for some more very good ones, and I just hope that this will be that. If you haven't seen this finished cover of the book as well, you should look at this finished cover because it looks gorgeous. And there you have it. Those are all the books that I recently hauled in and hopefully will be reading very soon. Please let me know in the comment section down below what is the latest book you've bought, received, acquired or borrowed. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!